Welcome, everybody, to PTBO Connect, Episode 2. Today, we actually have Bryan Sablay from Optimum Wraps. Optimum Wraps is an elite wrapping company. They do vehicles, signage, commercial in Peterborough, Ontario. And we're glad to have him here to tell us a little bit about what he does, how he got doing what he does, and some stories along the way. Bryan, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. So I'm going to start off the same way with everybody, just because we are in another lockdown right now. What's the lockdown done for you as a business? Has it helped you? Has it hurt you? Is things kind of the same as they were before the lockdown? What's changed?
To tell you the truth, it's actually much more busier than normal. It's the only thing that's actually pretty much hurting us is supply chain, like trying to get materials, all this other stuff. Getting a lot of workers too is kind of hard, but as for business growing, it's growing pretty quick than normal. We're getting a lot of customers than what we expected from the year prior, and it's crazy.
It's funny. So when we did our first episode and we had Susan from Hanoi House on, that was her initial reaction as well. Is inventory, being able to source product has become next to impossible at times, and employees. It's weird. Looking back as business owners, it seems like demand is actually at an all-time high in every industry, whether I'm talking about our multiple companies or you're talking about wraps and commercial jobs, and even in the food industry. But it's hard to get people to show up for work. It's hard to get people to want to work these days. And on top of that, once you have a product out there, you have to keep inventory. And it seems to be the challenge right now.
It's a huge challenge.
So we'll jump back. What got you into vehicle wraps? I've actually known Bryan for years. We're very good friends, and I don't know the answer to this question, so I'm excited to ask it. What got Bryan from whatever you were doing before to all of a sudden wrapping vehicles?
So I moved to Peterborough, 15 years ago? And so to tell you the truth, I used to work at Cal Tire. My skinny body was able to change tires for big trucks like semis and regular car tires for winter and everything like that. And when I was working there at Cal Tire, I saw all these vehicles that are they're just mediocre. It doesn't do anything to please you if you're a car enthusiast. I loved cars when I was a kid. So one day, me and the wife went to Walmart. I found this roll that says carbon fiber in it, and I was like, maybe I should go buy one of those.
So wait, Optimum Wraps was founded on Walmart carbon fiber.
Yes, it was.
That is amazing.
Yeah, so we bought that. It was so expensive. It was it's a 5 by 5, 5 feet by 5 feet. So you can actually do a hood. So I bought 10 of them just to try it out. It's just stupid, malicious.
All of your friends had carbon fiber hoods by the end of the week.
It was pretty much what it was. So I went to I did my own car first, failed miserably many times. Yep. Just wrinkles galore.
It's not easy.
It's not easy.
I've played around in the shop before and tried to wrap something. You can't just go and do it.
No, a lot of people think it's oh yeah, I watched a video. Yeah, sure, you can watch a video, but can you wrap curves? But that's the hard part. And then as soon as I was working there at Cal Tire, I was doing this as a side hustle because I did my own hood in carbon fiber. I went to a car scene in Peterborough, which is Peterborough. I don't know. I forgot. I don't go to it anymore. And they saw my car, and then they all asked me. 5 guys booked in and asked, "Hey, can I get my hood done?" $250 for each hood, and I was making more money doing that instead of working for $14 an hour. I was like, and then I'm busting my body to not ever be able to work again.
Well, and that's kind of something that all business owners learn. And I'm not going to jump ahead to where you are today yet, but it is always interesting to look back what you were doing right before you went into business for yourself. And there always is that initial, oh man, I made so much more today with maybe less effort than what I made at my job last week. But then you start to get into the business ownership aspects. Now, all of a sudden, you have more responsibility. The 24-hour clock starts. You're no longer working your 8-hour shift and going home. So it's fun to hear that initial, wow, I've made it. I'm getting paid for my time now. Yep. I'm making more, and not yet seeing where business was going to lead you. I mean, you've been through multiple shops. You've been through employees. You have your headaches just like every other business owner, and you were blind to that at that point, which allowed you to have fun. You were really enjoying it early on.
Yeah. A lot of people don't understand too is that there's a lot of risk in the risk that you take.
For the record, the camera did not pick up Matt there. It just looks like my microphone floated on its own.
It's magic.
It's magic. Yeah, no one knows about the risk that you take when you start up a business, right? And at first, it wasn't a full business. It was just like, yo, it's a side hustle. Like, yeah, I'll make like $1,000 this week. But then if you think about it, like that risk, like Melissa, which is my wife, she was very supportive about it. Like that's the biggest thing about like starting up a business. Have support. Your friends are always going to tell you, yeah, there's no customers that you can ever get in Peterborough because it's such a small city. And I saw Peterborough as, sure, it's a small pond, but well, you can make it bigger.
Yep.
Right. Like,
and you have people that travel here on a regular basis to get their vehicles wrapped.
And now, like, but when I came here, there was not a lot of cars.
No.
Like, it was like you could literally drive through Lansdowne and it's just you. Now it's like traffic galore, and it's like you could see how the difference is of like how we grew.
Well, in commercial too, there's a lot of commercial work out there. People that used to just stick door magnets on or just a simple decal are now getting full wraps. They're now using their vehicles as a billboard, and a lot of that has to do with not just yourself, but a few wrap shops that were able to kind of present what the possibilities are and get the work out there so that people start catching on to this $30,000 van I've got is now a rolling billboard and it'll bring me business.
Yeah, and people, that's the thing about wraps these days now too, is that anything that you do on your vehicle as a promotion, it sticks on people's brains, that like it catches their eyes. That's the biggest thing about us compared to other shops, because we make your vehicle stand out.
Yeah.
Right.
No, 100%. And I've got a few things done from you over the years. Most notably, when I went away on my, we did a destination wedding, my wife and I, and you couldn't make it because you were booked solid.
BMW.
Yeah, and I actually came back. I came back to my M6 was fully wrapped in wheels, and I think the exhaust was done. You tinted the windows. Everything was done. It was an awesome Christmas gift, an awesome wedding gift, and well, Christmas too. I don't think you owed me anything at that point that year. You'd gone overboard.
That was one of the, like, I actually like doing that one because it was a different vehicle, because we've never seen an M6. Like that's different.
Not an M6. There's 6 series, but I haven't seen another M6 in town. And I remember I'm on my wedding trip. Like we have 25 people in the Dominican Republic. I'm getting married. So much planning went into it.
And you're
and I got in trouble multiple times for being on my phone, begging you for update photos, trying to get Dan or somebody else in the shop to send me photos. And my wife was not pleased with me. Even getting home, I mean, we just had an amazing week. It was actually we flew home during the game that Kawhi hit his corner shot. And yet the only thing I wanted to do was get back to Peterborough and see my car. And it blew me away. You start off. What was the next step? You wrap some hoods for some people. You at this point you're a few $100 invested, some time. You're learning off YouTube. What turned that into a full business? Like, what was the next big step?
So the biggest step that I had to take was, like, I was scared. I was really scared because I don't know what to do. Like, you're an entrepreneur, you have no guidance whatsoever, right?
Do you already have kids at this point?
Yes. Yeah. And so I talked to my dad, and my dad is like one of he's one of my biggest mentors when it comes to, like, dealing with life stuff. Yep. Whenever you're scared, you just call up to him, right? And then what he told me, because we're very competitive as kids, because we play a lot of basketball, what he told me is like you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And when he told me that, just don't be scared, just do it. So what I did was I told him about Sean Flindle, which is the Kia Rio that I wrapped. The first time I sponsored his car, wrapping it.
Is that your first win at Motorama?
The first win at Motorama. I wrapped it, and he gave me, so first I was still working at Cal Tire. He dropped off the keys. I was dirty. Like, my hands were all black.
You were friends at this point, or he was just a new customer?
He was just a new customer. He just gave me the shot to do his car. And when I did that, he was very hesitant at first, because he was like, oh, I don't know this guy. Like, is he gonna rip apart my car, or am I ever gonna get it back?
Well, you fully disassemble a car, so there is some risk. Like when you take a $50,000 car, and there's a reason customers don't see the progress photos. Because it's torn apart. Your bumpers are in the corner of the shop. Your headlights are out.
You've seen it.
Everything's torn apart. That car is in pieces. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, it's intense.
Wild.
Yeah.
It's intense. Like your door panels gets taken off, door handles. Sometimes your mirror has to, like your glass sometimes has to come off because the actuator, we can't get to your door handle. We have to take that off.
I remember watching you. So Bryan now works out of my old shop, and so I stop by quite often, and I remember watching you with the Toyota Supra.
Oh,
a brand new Toyota Supra back when I think that was the first one I'd ever seen in person. And it came into the shop, and he wanted not only a color change, but he wanted door jams done.
Door jams and door shuts.
So the entire door wiring, everything has to come off the vehicle to do the door jams.
Everything.
Man.
And
that makes me so nervous.
And it had 400 kilometers in it.
Like this is like a couple years ago, the new generation.
It was just last year.
It was early last year.
It was early last year.
Yeah, because those are like brand spanking new.
Brand spanking new. And
the car had like 35 kilometers on it. Didn't it get trailered down?
Yeah, trailer down. It's an enclosed trailer.
Yep.
Yeah, and I was the first one that ever touched it. No mechanic hasn't even touched it yet.
Yep.
I was the first one to rip apart the whole car.
So before the owner has ever put his arm on the armrest of the door, you're tearing the door panel off.
Everything.
I'm using the word tearing. I'm sure Bryan would much rather use like properly remove with specialty tools.
It's a little more gentle.
Yeah. But no, it's amazing to see what a vehicle looks like in the middle. And then what the end result is. It's pretty fantastic. So I touched on it there. Sean's car was your first win at Motorama. You've now won 4 years of Motorama, excluding the last 2 years because they haven't held Motorama.
That's correct.
So was it 4 years in a row? Like, are you 6 years in now?
I will be 6 years in. Yeah.
So
I haven't lost yet.
Yeah, and you need to go back and win this year. And I know there's some competition that's gunning for you this year.
Oh, I can't wait.
I'm not going to ask you what's up your sleeve because you're not going to give it away, but I'm sure something's going. So yeah, that's amazing. We want to not only get small business people in, but we want to hear that mindset. Your story is very similar to mine in the sense that it was not thought out. I know that sounds horrible, but it wasn't. It wasn't like you sat around for 2 years saving money and figuring out all the ins and outs.
Just wing it.
Yeah, it was just go for it. And if it works out, great. And if it doesn't, then go back to installing tires. Yeah. And no, that's an amazing start to the journey. Over the years, you've been in what? You started in a double garage.
Yes.
Then you had a partnership. You kind of learned, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but you kind of learned that a guy with an elite wrapping ability doesn't need to be in a shop of 10,000 square feet and multiple people. It's
growing too fast is never good.
Your talent is what you do. Your talent is doing the installation yourself, and it's great to have a couple employees to help along the way and train.
Yeah.
But it's not a business where you need to have 5 or 6 cars in there at any given time.
So one thing I learned too is that like I listen to a lot of podcasts when it comes to like, building a business and stuff like that. The biggest thing about it is that you actually have to focus on what you are good at only. Don't broaden yourself too much out that you tend to lose what you're actually good at.
Well, that's where the connections and the relationships come from. So you don't detail cars. No. You don't typically ceramic coat cars. You don't paint. You don't do any of that. But you have people available that you trust to do all of those things. So if I bring my car to you and it needs some body work first, or I want to get it ceramic coated afterwards, it's still a one-stop shop. But you're not pretending to be the world's greatest ceramic coat installer or the world's greatest body man. You're claiming to be, and luckily you have the awards to back it up, the greatest car wrap installer in the area. And no, that's an important lesson to learn. And I know I sat back to watch you kind of learn that lesson. I had learned previously as well. That you can waste a lot of time and money trying to grow bigger than you need to be. Yeah. Everybody wants the biggest office, the biggest building, the most clients. But at the end of the day, if you can sit back and wrap 2 cars a week, that might be the business for you. That's still a great business to be in.
Like, I mean, it's still my goal to, train my guys to be better. And then we can grow from there.
Yep.
But growing too quick to, brought out to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to be like, a painter or like a ceramic coater is like, there's too much going on. Just let it go one at a time. That's how I built my business anyways. It's like outsourcing jobs too, right? So I made like a ton of friends in Peterborough. Now they're all like you yourself. Like when we found each other, you called me to like peel off some decals in the cold.
That is how we met.
That's how we met.
You peeled, what was the deck?
It was an attachments one.
Yeah, it was the logo for my other business. You were peeling off of the Tahoe.
In the cold.
Outside of my hobby shop. It was like 25 below. And you were outside doing it. That's the first time I ever met you. And
then you wanted to get your C10.
We started planning the wrap for the C10.
And then we just became friends.
Truck.
Yeah, we just became friends from there. Just like he called me up. We did the wide drive, big reflective one, and then that's like it's like just from moving to the next one.
The Young's DD on the
one.
Tundra.
Yes.
Oh, you could see that thing coming from a mile away. Yeah, it was bright. I used to have to park it sideways at my house. I'd park it across the end of the driveway, and the reason was if I parked it lengthwise like you would normally park a car in your driveway, vehicles coming from either direction, it would be blinding in the middle of the night.
You just put a flash into it, like a headlight into it, and it's the first thing you see is Young's designated driver.
Like huge. Like it was
space.
It was borderline dangerous driving down the road at night, but it stood out. Yeah. And it worked well. But that's back when you were working out of a double garage on the outskirts of town. And now you're in a shop also on the outskirts of town. But yeah, no, it's amazing to see where it's come over the years. Listening, and obviously you haven't had a chance to listen to the first podcast because it airs today as we record this one.
Yep.
But that's what's exciting to hear is the trials and tribulations of each business owner, because there isn't one out there that just had a smooth go of it. If they feel like they haven't hit that hurdle yet.
No, and that's the thing. You got to fail to succeed.
Yep.
Like the biggest thing that you have to do is you got to fail. If you don't, like even my employees, I tell them was like, just fail, just do it. If you end up failing, we can redo it again. Different when it comes to you failing 3 times, 4 times. You're kind of doing something wrong now, right? Like you're not rethinking your process, right? And that's why when you taught me to like, you know what, I'm going to stay back. I'm just going to let him learn his lesson. And then all of a sudden it just trickled into me. Yep. And it's just like, it was weird. Then when I needed my shop, I thank him a lot because I was just like a quick phone call. I was like, hey, Rob, like I need a shop.
See, to me, it was amazing. So before we have the office that we're in today, we had a probably 300 square foot office that I worked out of for our other business, as well as to start launching Y Drive. And attached to it was just a bonus 1,600 square foot shop. And so I used that for my own hobby shop. And then when you called me one day and said, hey, I need some shop space. Do you know of anything? I said, yeah, come on down, take over my shop. And since then I've moved out. You took over fully.
Yeah.
And
it's crazy how many cars we've actually pulled in there.
But what I loved was I now had something to watch every day. I'd go to my office, I'd get my work done. But instead of wandering around being lonely, nobody else around, there was one day a Supra being wrapped and then a Hummer being wrapped, and there was all this cool stuff out in the shop. Like I no longer had to pay for the toys that I got to go and look at and see
or even
every day.
Sit in it. You know what I mean? It's just like that's like the best part.
Yeah. No, there was some nice perks that came along with it. Ryan's Tesla. Given that opportunity, that's the reason why I'm still holding on to that shop, is so that when you do his Aventador, then I can come and make that same deal. Like if it's here, I get to drive it, right?
Yeah, that's a goal.
Yeah, but no, it's been a blast to watch it grow over the years. And what's next for you? Like what's the next step in not just Optimum Wraps, but in the Bryan saga?
To tell you the truth, as soon like my 5-year goal. So I put up I have a list. Like I put up a list on my computer. No one knows about it. Might as well say it.
Everyone knows now.
Now everybody will know now. But I do put a list every 5 years, like from 5 years from now, from 10 years from now, whatever, right? But from 5 years from now, I'm gonna hire enough people to be also just as close as I am as an installer. And then I could broaden them out. So one guy's gonna do window tint, one guy's gonna do paint protection film, and 2 people are gonna do commercial. I do want to open up a shop in Calgary. Okay. That's my biggest goal right now in 5 years from now. I did just go there for my vacation to visit my family, and I was there to go also look at shops, find out why is there no cars here that are wrapped.
It's interesting too because I spent years in Chestermere, just outside of Calgary, and then years further in Grand Prairie. It's a perfect place for it, and the reason is there's so much rock damage.
Yes,
like if you drive around, every vehicle has a cracked windshield, and the idea of 3M paint protection on the front, the idea of a commercial vehicle being wrapped so that when it's peeled 5 years later, it's a brand new paint job underneath. It's a great place to go, and there's some money there.
Yeah.
Like it's not a poverty-stricken city. It's people that have some cash to spend on their toys.
And then what's the thing is too is like, so we had a rental like the first time we went to Calgary with my family. Our whole windshield cracked, and we had to pay the rental company $1,000 to replace the windshield because I didn't take the insurance. Of course, I didn't take the insurance. But if you think about it, it's like I thought about it when I came back here. I was like, that could be money. Like, I could do paint protection film for $300 to $400 there for just the windshield, and it protects their windshield from being replaced every time. It's just a huge thing that goes on. Like, yes, sure, it's cold there every time. Hell, we're in Canada. What do you expect, right? Like, cars are stored, like the nice cars are stored, right? So it's just one thing that I want to do, and then 10 to 15 years from now, I do maybe hopefully I want to retire. Maybe the younger I get, like I look like I'm still 19, I guess, or something like that. What people always say.
You have a face that, for a lack of better term, confuses me.
Yes, that's what you said to me the first time you saw me.
Well, so if I told
I'm older than you,
Matt. Have you ever met Bryan before today?
I have not.
Okay.
No. I can't tell if he's 22 or 36.
That's exactly. If I told you that Bryan was 51 years old, you wouldn't question it.
51 might be a bit old.
The face.
No, I don't want to give him that old. I'd say like early 40s.
But if I told you he was 21, you'd also believe
I would. Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
You could play, like, you should be an actor is what your job, because you could play such a spectrum of people.
I know, and that's.
Can I guess how old you are?
Go ahead.
33.
Go higher.
Higher?
Yeah.
36?
Yep.
Oh, let's go.
Yep.
It's not bad. Second guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's one thing too, is like as a business owner myself, like, like me driving around a Mercedes or like a Kia Stinger just wrapped in chrome. Like people think that like, daddy's money. And it look like literally some people would say that to me right behind my back. And I was like, I wanted to say something. I was like, as a business owner, you can't, right?
Yeah.
You just can't. But I was like, I'm older than you from the looks of it.
Yep.
Like, but you just don't know.
Yeah, Danny Mac or Daniel Mac is going to come up to you with that. What do you do for a living? Is this daddy's money?
This is daddy's money.
That's how we get the retweet from Daniel Mac now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's...
clip that.
I'm noted.
Exactly. So, no, that's a fair point. I love the idea of Western expansion. I mean, I'm gonna call you on it. You're copying me. I fly out Monday to launch Y Drive in Alberta. But, hey, if you want to copy everything I do, that's perfectly fine.
It's all good.
No, I think
Hey,
Calgary's
you
a
do
great
need
spot.
people to put your stickers on your vehicles.
Yeah, exactly. So
there
we
you
can't
go.
actually launch Y Drive in Alberta until you're there, so that you can install the Y Drive decals.
Well, you can just fly me there.
It's true.
Well, and I mean, also, like, you're going to need a garage out there. He's going to need one to move into. So there you go.
There you go. We can have another one.
Yep.
He's gonna have shares in the company now next.
Probably, yeah, at this point.
He doesn't know I already do.
He took my website. I know for sure.
He thought he was signing a lease. He was signing a shareholder agreement.
There's a dotted line. I can't see.
Oh my god.
Oh.
But yeah, no, that's definitely exciting to hear that you're hoping to not only grow. Again, there's so many comparisons between just the first and second episode. The idea of Susan opening a second location, not necessarily intending to as quick as she did, is the way she put it. And then you're kind of in the same boat that once you've got Peterborough taken care of, you have to find that next city, and a place like Calgary is absolutely amazing for that. I think we both know that Toronto is a little bit overdone. There's quite a few different options in Toronto.
There's a ton. Yeah.
None are necessarily of high quality, but unfortunately, you can't always win based on quality. If somebody is half the price but they're half the quality, it's not worth the fight. It's not worth it to sit there and try to explain to every single client why you're worth more and why your product is better. Sometimes it's best just to be in a market where you don't have to compete against that stuff.
Yeah, and that's why people always ask me, how do you keep yourself so busy and like making this much amount of money? And I was like, just keep your price the same. Like if you always have it high, and the thing is, you price yourself low, everyone's gonna think your value is lower.
Well, here's the thing: you have a car in the shop constantly. It's one of the reasons I like swinging by and seeing you as often as I do, because there's always something different. Never seen an Optimum Wraps ad.
Not yet.
Ever. No, but that's
the Stinger was.
Well, but that's what I mean. Like it's you being out there with your vehicle wrapped, or word of mouth, or your friends telling other people to. Like the first person that ever told me about you was just, I think he lived in Barrie or something too. It just happened to be you and I lived a few kilometers away from each other. But he told me to contact you, and he was, I believe, in Barrie. Like he was pretty far away. And that's where your business comes from. Is it comes from word of mouth and people seeing the cars, and unfortunately, because it's been gone for 2 years, things like Motorama. It's an interesting way to do it. You don't need 15 cars in your shop, so you're not a retail store or restaurant where your goal is to get as many people through the door as possible. Your goal is to find the right clients that have the same vision you do, and just word of mouth is keeping you busy.
Yeah. And quality is over quantity is what we always like. Is pretty much our pride and joy is whatever we say, because the more work you do, and then you get burnt out because you did so much work of the year, you don't want to do it. Like I don't want to lose the passion of actually working and wrapping cars. Yeah. And I kind of burnt myself. I think it was maybe last two years ago. I was in the other shop, and it kind of like, it grew so quick that there was so many cars, also to the point that I would be there 24/7.
Well, and they weren't the jobs that you were choosing to take on.
Yeah, I didn't want the jobs. Like I really didn't need to, but then it was just getting to like, it's the hype. Like, you want to get that so-called, what they call now the clout, right? And it's like, it's to me, it's just like, people are it's just gonna come and go. Like you just take it. Just take whatever you can take.
Well, and that's something interesting knowing you. If I would venture to say, and we'll make a game out of it, if I asked you what your favorite vehicles have been that you've wrapped, they're not the ones that people know you for. And you enjoy doing the one-off stuff. You enjoy doing the drift car and stuff like that. Whereas what we know you for is the big graphics, the chrome wraps,
the embossings.
Yeah, exactly. Embossing is absolutely amazing. Like I'm still looking for a reason. We actually, I can't turn the camera, but if Brian looks over his left-hand shoulder, the fridge that we installed in our podcast studio / kitchen / bar / poker room, whatever you want to call this room, I intentionally bought that fridge because there's no handles, there's nothing on the front of it. It is the perfect fridge to have wrapped.
We did wrap your first fridge.
I wrapped it.
You did, yeah. Yep. I was teaching him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Brian takes a lot of credit for being the best, but the best fridge wrap I've seen, I did it.
He did it.
The cleanest vehicle wrap I've yet to see, like where you walk up to it and you're like, is this really a wrap and not a paint job? His wife wrapped.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Woman.
Did she hold it over your head? Like, does she remind you every time?
No, she's just. See, that's the thing about like the wife is like she knows like it's very meticulous, and she takes time onto it. And it's like us guys would be like, I just want to get paid. You know what I mean? But then there's like getting to the point sometimes just like, yeah, I really like this car, and like I'm gonna do as much as I can to get everything done.
You have an eye for detail, and you are a perfectionist. Like I know how much your own SUV bothers you. So when you bought that, you needed a billboard. You needed something to be wrapped, and so you wrapped your car. You took about 12 hours to do a 3-day job. And you got it done almost immediately. I think I saw you. I'm trying to remember. Like it's silver, isn't it? Underneath
it was
the wrap?
silver, yeah. And you even got the new bumpers and the new bumpers right onto it right away.
And you got it on there so fast, and to everybody else, it looks perfect. To you, you'll walk around and be like, no, this.
I point it out.
Yeah, you're dying for your 4 days free in order to rewrap your vehicle.
I think it's like that with everything. Like, we recorded the first episode of this podcast, and I listened to it, and I do podcasting, and it's like, oh, it sounded great, and Rob's picking himself apart. I was like, everyone's always gonna be more critical of yourself.
Yep.
And
No,
well,
it's
that's
100%
the
true.
thing though. If you're not critical about yourself, then you kind of will lose that passion of like wanting to do these type of things.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And then you're like, oh yeah, it's another podcast, or yeah, it's another rap job. You know, like that's for me.
Passion's a big part of it, and again, that's come up in both episodes. You have to be passionate about what you do, and I don't want to just repeat everything from the first episode into the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, but I asked Susan a question, and it's very relatable to, it sounds like every field, but especially to yours, and that was, can someone who's not passionate about food run a successful restaurant? And I'll be honest, she had to be political in her answer, but she essentially said, like, you can run a restaurant, you're just probably not going to be successful at it. And it's very much the same. There are people that own wrap shops. I won't name names, but it's not what they're passionate about. They do it for the bottom line. They do it for the dollar. And as a result, not only does the work show that, but the clients pick up on that as well.
Yep.
They want somebody who's going to
Be there for
who's
them.
going to be passionate about it, who's going to be excited about it.
Yeah, and you gotta be with you gotta be there for the customer every time. Like, yeah, sure, your phone's gonna ring at like 3 a.m. It's like, oh, like I changed my color. Can we change the color up? Or like a customer will come into the door and you're not there as a business owner. It kind of like it kind of will hurt your business because the face of the company is you. Mostly if you're an entrepreneur, the biggest thing is you. If there's only employees there that are greeting your customers and the owner's not there, I'm telling, like, I know for sure, but I've learned it that you will not succeed, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, it's like anything. Like, if you're not into it, yeah, you can make a buck off it.
Yeah.
But you like you said, you won't succeed. But you're not having fun either. And if you're not having fun, what are you doing it for?
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else keeps you going? What else gets Bryan up in the morning? You're a car enthusiast. You've got a family. You've got your business. You've got a couple employees. You keep winning awards.
That's the hard part. That's a hard question because it's literally the same. Like, it's not more like a same routine every day that I feel like. It's just like you get up at 6 a.m. and you just do the same thing. Mm-hmm. But it's more of like you're looking forward for what's going to be next. Because what gets me up in the morning to do this is like I need a different vehicle. Like, I see the same Honda Civics or the same Subarus all the time. Like I would love to do more like what I did to the Supra. You know what I mean? That was like, oh crap, like we just did that. Like, that's new.
My favorite was, and I'm being biased here because it was my project. I totally forgot about it when we were talking about what you've done for me. The boat.
Oh,
because that went from raw aluminum, sanding marks. Like,
everybody thought it was aluminum. The way it was aluminum.
Yeah, he took a freshly welded aluminum. It's made by Angevin Motorsports. Mm-hmm. They build, in this case, it was an 11-foot jet boat with a 300-horse motor in it. Yeah. And this thing had been, we're probably talking a week after the welding was done.
Yep.
Hadn't even taken a piece of sandpaper to it. And I went in and sanded it for a few hours, and then he went in and wrapped it, and it was this reflective, color-shifting pink silver, and purple. But it looked so close to metal.
Yeah.
That it looked like some sort of weird polished aluminum look, but it was really just a wrap over top of it. And that thing got so much attention for the color on it. It was
just finding the seams too. Like, people were like, "Oh, this whole thing is painted." Just like, no, it's not. It's wrapped. Yep. You know, like that's the thing that like Rob gets to me every time. It's like, man, I can't even know where you put the seam unless you stare at it or feel it, right? And that's what gets me up. Like, it's like when you satisfy the customer so much, it's just like, oh, that's the greatest feeling. But when they don't, it's like, oh yeah, that's my car. I kind of don't want to do your vehicle. You know what I mean?
I've watched you turn away some jobs that you were definitely right for turning away. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's an unfair statement. It's not picking on someone's vehicle or what they want to do, but you were not just you, but your industry is an artistic industry. Like, it's skill, it's artistry, and it's attention to detail. And if you don't enjoy what you're doing, you're not going to put the effort in. But also, if it's not something you want your name on, it can potentially hurt your reputation moving forward. And I'll be frank and say there have been jobs in the past you've taken that I kind of shook my head and went, don't stick an Optimum wrap steckle on that.
The prelude.
And well, hopefully they're not one of the hopefully they're not one of the 18 listeners. But yeah, like it was like a sticker essentially the customer had brought you, and you were early on in business at the point, and you were like, hey, this guy's going to pay me $500 to stick a sticker on the side of his vehicle. The installation was great. However, the project was never going to be a quality project. There was no possibility of it. The material was cheap. The vehicle was cheap. And you weren't ever going to make a $5,000 job out of it in terms of quality. So it's definitely picking and choosing. So I'm going to double back. I kind of alluded to it, but what are the favorite projects you've worked on? Because you do everything. You do bus wraps for commercial. You do dump trucks. You do vehicles, cars, bikes, helmets, absolutely everything out there.
That's the hard part. So my favorite one, I will admit to it, it was my vehicle. It was the Kia Stinger. Yeah. With the chrome, neochrome thing going on, because that was the hardest vehicle to ever wrap. And it was almost late for Motorama. We did it in 12 hours.
You had 2 cars you were doing for that, though.
Yeah. And so I literally didn't have enough time to finish it. And I stayed, me and Kayla was in the shop, like the two-door shop. And we stayed there for 12 hours straight. Just, we were like, we're going to do this. And Motorama's tomorrow.
That was a pretty crazy time. So that's when we started to become closer friends and not just business, like where I was around more often and you were coming to me with more ideas and feedback and stuff like that. You had the Galaxy truck, which and I know there's some tension there about who owns it and the business you used to be a part of and all of that. But at the end of the day, the quality of work that went into that truck that you wrapped solely yourself was second to none. I mean, the truck that was actually phenomenal.
That was one of my second ones, to tell the truth. And like, there was a little bit of tension there, but I don't care anymore. But that was like one of the cleanest jobs I've ever done, because it was a big, massive truck, and I did it by myself. You know, you're like, it's lifted and everything like that too. And just trying to tackle those jobs by yourself, you're like, now that's when a business side thinks of me again during that time. It's just like, I'm going to need more people. And you can't just do this by yourself.
And the camera is going to do a really bad job of showing it off. But a lifted truck for Bryan Sablay to wrap is a hard thing to do.
I need a scissor lift.
I think I've seen that truck. So I don't think I've seen the Stinger around town, but it's the purple one, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we have a picture of it on my phone.
Yeah. Everybody's seen that truck. And that's what the biggest billboard is. It's like, even the fact that it says, like, you know, my logo on the back of it. It's amazing, because we've gone to above and beyond with like ECD Customs, like, which is one of the biggest SEMA companies that, like, you know, makes wraps for bigger trucks. And like, you know, that was beautiful. That truck was beautiful. It took me a lot of time and a lot of late night, because I was just getting exhausted, because such a big boy.
Yep. Right? No, it was. And credit to the owner of the truck. The other touches that went into it made it into a true show truck. It is a work of art. But it all comes back. Who did the print on that one?
That would be ECD Customs. Yeah.
So it started with the print with the ghosted logos, and then that meant that you had to line everything up for the wrap. It was no longer just take a roll of wrap, lay it over a car, and then use your skill to install it.
Every single star, if you miss one, it will not line up to the door.
Yep.
Even from the fenders, themselves. So the fenders curve, right? So you get a full square of it. You got to line up that from the fenders to the fender flares that sticks up. So I had that all lined up, and people couldn't believe that. How in the world did you do it? Because there was no way somebody could overly, not even stretch it that much to, fade the image or make it look like it's not even together.
That's so wild.
Yeah. But going back to that point in time, that literal week, you had the Stinger to finish. So you had your brand new car. Mm-hmm. You had to finish that for Motorama. Mm-hmm. You had to wrap a 2500 series pickup lifted with a full custom wrap that wrap should have taken a week or two.
Yep.
And it took a couple days. You had, that was the same year that you did an on-site wrap at Motorama, wasn't it? Or was that the year after?
The year, that would be the year after.
Okay.
No, that's the same year. That's the same year.
You and Kayla wrapped a Civic?
The Civic in Nardo Gray.
So at Motorama, they wrapped a car from scratch, from start to finish, on display while people watched.
That's awesome.
250,000 people would be attending that show, and literally they were hovering my shoulders. Like I am cutting, and they're like this.
That's so nerve-wracking.
It's nuts. Like and just the fact that like one single motion, like it's not even my vehicle. It's a friend of ours, and like if I cut on the vehicle, it's just sure it's a Civic, but it's those rare ones too, right? Mm-hmm. If I cut on the vehicle, people will see. If I overstretch or I cut wrong or I pulled wrong, people will see. And that's what I like about doing my job is like when people watch me, it gives me more motivation to actually like, that's awesome. But I don't like it when customers are there. No. Like, their own customers.
A customer can't watch. No. Where was I the other day where I was watching? Oh, it was actually here. It was getting the plumbing installed. And I realized while he was cutting into the line to tie into it and do all this kind of stuff. And I was like, this is why customers don't watch professionals do what they do, because I'm sitting here like
we're jittering.
Yeah, I was like, this is an uncomfortable moment to be in, where he's cutting into plumbing and okay, is this line off? Is this line not off? And then tie into it, see if it leaks. Everything went great, and that's why you hire professionals. But there are moments where you don't let people. The other one, looking back, I remember Brad from Angevin Motorsports and you teamed up on a spoiler for one of their customers. You did the wrap and they did the install. And the customer wanted to be there, and they're like, we're drilling a hole into your car.
Yep.
No,
well,
you're not standing here
and
and watching us do this.
New.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And that's the worst part. Like, it's a brand new vehicle. Like, you hear a snap. Like where we're talking about removal on certain parts of the vehicle. Door panel, you heard it before.
It makes a snap noise. It sounds like you broke it.
It sounds like you broke it.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's just clips.
Well, it's like that. Even think about it, you get a haircut. Halfway through the haircut, it looks terrible.
Oh,
Like, you're looking back in the
mirror. Facing the other way. Yeah. That's why you don't. Like, you just don't let them watch.
Yeah, no, 100%. No, that's okay. So going back to that Motorama, so you got that. You got 2 vehicles to do. Then the biggest obstacle you guys had was also the same week you moved into the new shop. So you were moving locations. You had 2 show vehicles to do, not from paying customers. They were yours and your partner at the times. So you're overworked. You've got essentially no money coming in at that point either. Like all your jobs you're doing are on you. You've got the new shop. You've got all the equipment being moved in there. You have essentially new employees because you had people that were working now for you as part of this partnership that weren't the week before. And then you go to Motorama, and you won twice that year, didn't you? You won, I think, for another Sean car and for the truck.
So the truck won, and then the year before that, I won on the Stinger.
I thought a second car.
And then Sean, then Sean won twice before that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was I wish somebody can beat me this year.
I mean, there's some people that I know are trying.
Oh, I can't wait because I'm about to come out with something crazy again.
Oh, I'm disappointed I don't have anything for you to wrap this year. I want to put, because I know whatever you're going to do on it's going to be nuts, and I kind of want to hand you the keys to something again and say just do whatever you want to do on it. But I don't. Even
trying to put time into the shop to like, hey, can I do my car this week?
When is Motorama? It's got to be coming
March 17, 18, 19.
So you have 2 months. 2 months to get a car ready for Motorama. And your booth's done. You're paid for. You're good to go. Oversized booth. Car going to be there.
10 by 20 and ready to go. It's just that now I need to figure out if I'm going to do my Mercedes or I'm just going to be getting another vehicle.
I've got an 06 Pontiac G5. If you really want something to do. It's good condition. It's clean.
It is. You don't want to get rid of the burnt orange, though.
I do love the burnt orange.
Yeah.
It's a great color.
The burnt orange has to stay. There's some vehicles that you don't cover up. Actually, funny enough, so my BMW ended up being stolen. And
right after I wrap it.
Couple months. I got to enjoy it for a bit. That's awful. It gets stolen, and I'm now dealing with the insurance company, and they came to me, and so they're like, do you have a list and receipts for everything that was done? And so Bryan gives me like the invoice, the receipts, all that kind of stuff, and I submit it, and she goes, well, we don't compensate for wraps. She goes, they don't increase the value of the vehicle at all, so we don't cover that. They'd cover the wheels, they'd cover everything else, but not the wrap. And then she called me back 2 days later. And I was like, whatever, I'm not going to fight her on it. Like, I was already mad enough my car was gone. And she calls me back a couple days later, and she goes, I talked to my boss, and I swear this is almost an exact quote. She goes, because the color of your car to start with was so ugly, we're going to pay for half of the wrap that you put on there because we feel it likely did increase the value of the car.
What color was it?
That's the worst part.
It's
It was
red.
an like I didn't pay that. I bought the car used, but it was an $11,000 color code when the car was new. It was Indianapolis red.
It
Really?
was so
Yeah.
ugly.
It's like an
that?
auburn. Yeah.
Like that one there.
No, they go darker. It was like
Darker?
almost
Okay.
like a burgundy,
Yeah.
and it's like grandma's mobile.
Oh, really?
And then with the satin dark gray that we put on, it looked like trans, like almost like RoboCop's car.
Yeah.
I got to figure this out here. Hold on. I'm looking it
Yeah.
up.
Indianapolis red M6.
Yeah,
And
it
that's,
was
I think,
nice.
the only car you could get it on. It was an $11,000 option.
Yeah.
That's the color.
Yeah, it's like perfect maroon.
Yeah.
Like that's not even a red.
And when they saw that, when they had me send pictures of the before and after, they changed their mind and willingly, this is an insurance company.
They don't do
willingly,
anything.
Yeah, gave me thousands of dollars just as basically no, you're right, that increased the value of your car.
And then now insurance company does know that it actually does increase the value of the vehicle because there's no more stone chipping on your vehicle as much as often.
Yep.
It protects your paint.
Yep.
So we peel that off in 5 years when something, let's say they want to release another vehicle or finance another vehicle. We just pull that off, and the vehicle literally looks like it just came out of factory.
Yep.
Because there's no scratches, nothing onto it.
Do you find this is so off topic? Do you ever find people just get bored of whatever color wrap they have? And get a
Every
new
year.
one?
That's why I get
Really?
every year. There's a new one.
I've never said this out loud, but the way I've always thought about vehicle wraps is like a tattoo.
Yes.
Once you get your first tattoo, guarantee you're
You'll
getting
come
a
back.
second one.
Yeah, but it's like a tattoo you can keep taking off and putting a new one there.
Yeah.
No, for sure. But at least with your body, you typically have more space, especially guys
yeah, I
like me
guess
and
so.
you. But we've always got more room to put a tattoo. But it's very much like that it's an addiction. I never cared to get a vehicle wrapped until Bryan did my M6. And then after that, it was like, I can
He asks me every day.
You become God. Like I could change the color, the texture, the graphics.
It's like a video game.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want to do with this. When Erica's mom, my wife's mother, so my mother-in-law, was shopping for her new vehicle, I said the same thing. She was looking at a couple vehicles that were
Cherokee?
very limited. Well, no, the one she got, she loves the color, and so do I. It's a great color, the blackout, the whole 9 yards. But when she was looking at the Hyundai Palisade, she was looking at the Kia Telluride. They were so limited in inventory that she was pretty much stuck with whatever they had in stock. And I remember saying, like, screw it, just go see Bryan. And I was like, just get him to wrap it whatever color you want. And she did. She came to the shop. I don't know if you were there that day, but we were at the shop doing something else, and she flipped through and like, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. And it's like, yeah, you can go whatever color you want to go. And it's mind-blowing when someone realizes that. Like, at the shop, through 4 color books, you probably have a total of, 1,200 different colors people could choose from?
Wow.
Yep.
And
It's nuts. And then that's the thing. Like, he was right about, like, it's like having a tattoo. He's seen it many times. People would actually walk in. They just got their vehicle done last week, and they're already thinking of switching it over for next year.
Really?
Yeah.
my boat was the same way. I never planned. Now, it ended up being one of those things where a guy in the U.S. offered me more money than I had into it, so it sold. But I never planned on leaving that boat a color for more than a season. The fun in it was going to be able to do a different color every year. And especially with something like a jet boat, once you change the color, you've pretty much changed the whole boat. Like, that's all it is seats, exterior color, and the motor. And I wasn't going to do any different for the motor. I mean, it already kind of maxed out the best you could do at that point. So yeah, I was excited to do red the next year and then do blue the year after that and change it up. And it's easy to say red and blue, but within those you have another 100 shades of different textures and finishes and all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's what's great about it too. Is like, if you, let's say you drove your G5, what is it?
G5.
A G5, right? It's a different color like this year. and then you bring it in the next, like you go to your friends and they see your vehicle change color again. It's like, did you just buy another G5?
Yeah,
and that's what everybody thinks.
Yep.
It's like you just bought another vehicle, but it's not. Like that thing has 100,000 kilometers on it.
And where, where it gets really interesting is in the higher end stuff. So, like you look at, and Brian's gonna literally reach across the table and smack me for saying this because he doesn't ever want to do one again.
Oh no!
But do you know where I'm going with it?
Which one is it?
I'll test him. I'll test him here. I'm thinking of a vehicle you absolutely don't want to wrap. It only comes in like white, silver, and black.
A Jeep.
No, close.
Can I guess 2?
Think Jeep with an extra 2 in front of the price tag.
Extra 2 on the price tag.
So take.
Oh, a G-Wagon.
Yeah.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
No. Oh,
I didn't know they came in anything other than black.
That's exactly my point.
Yeah.
So you take a vehicle that's because there's about 7 or 8 of them floating around Peterborough right now.
Yes.
Now 5 of them are owned by the same person, but there's a bunch of them floating around Peterborough, and they're all black.
Yep.
I know there's gonna be a bit of a premium because it's an extremely difficult car to wrap, but let's say $4,000 to $5,000.
Go higher.
Okay, well whatever.
They got around 75.
For
a G-Wagon?
you've got a lot of ins and outs to doing that. But
A lot of broken clips.
You're talking a car. I know one of the ones in town I'm a huge fan of. It's the new body style. So it's got the newer interior, the new body style. Yeah. I bet you off the showroom floor that was $250 to $260.
Yep.
Another $7,500 and you could have the only orange one, the only red one, the only blue one, and then again hundreds of shades within those options.
Well, even think about it. If you go to your garage, right? Like, oh yeah, what color do I feel like today driving out? It's like picking your underwear.
If you can afford a G-Wagon, you can afford to get it redone every week.
Every week, it's like, I like that green one this week. I'm gonna take that one out for a spin.
So why don't you like doing them then? Like if they're so unique.
The amount of money that you're gonna end up putting into it, just because you're gonna end up breaking clips. Yep. They're expensive from Mercedes, first and foremost.
Yeah, well, anything German, right? Like,
yeah, and
so
then,
your 30-cent clip from a Dodge Charger becomes a $45 clip on a G-Wagon.
Okay.
And in 2 weeks to get it in.
And then plus, now you got to hire a mechanic to go, like a real mechanic from Mercedes, because they have warranties on those that if you end up breaking yourself because you're not entitled to, like, you're not licensed to touch them, you need to hire that $100 an hour person to go and peel that apart.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Huh.
So that's the precautions you got to take as a business owner. It's just like you can't just do everything on yourself unless you know that you can hire someone that can do it, right?
Well, it's the risk reward, right? And sometimes it's better off to leave something to someone who's done it before. Like I know even for the doors, I went to school for bodywork in a past lifetime, and then we had the Angevars next door, and we had we've got other friends that own body shops, and everybody kind of had their 2 cents in on this because everyone was interested in seeing the car too. It was this brand new body style car, everyone wanted to see it, and even then, I'm pretty sure you left the door. The door installations were definitely left up to Brad. Like you were like, no, this isn't my. I've taken many doors off.
Yep.
But in this situation, I'm going to bring in a true mechanic to do this. It was at your cost, not the customer's cost, to make sure that it was done properly because your responsibility is to not only wrap the car, but to get it back to them in better shape than what it was handed to you in. And there is, I mean, there's been times, where you're absolutely right. I'm sitting there watching what you're doing, and I'm like, oh, it's not even my car, and I'm like, it's and then at the end, it always turns out perfect, and that's all that matters.
Can I geek out for a second? Because I'm a big car guy too. Like, what's the most expensive thing you've wrapped, car-wise?
In Peterborough or in like Toronto?
Like here in Peterborough. Toronto, I can only imagine.
Probably the Tesla.
No, I'm going to correct you. You're
No, Peterborough.
No, you're going to answer whatever you want. I think I still am going to correct you.
The race cars are $250,000.
Yeah, but what's the bus you did in Toronto?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's a cheap shot. Like it's like it's not a Lamborghini or a Rolls Royce or anything like that, but it probably costs more.
Yeah, but no, the LaFerrari that went before I
got wrapped a LaFerrari.
Yeah, before I got into an accident. So the day before I got into an accident,
that side's not in the LaFerrari.
No. Okay. So I crashed the Optima because somebody hit me in the 115.
Yeah.
Right. the day before that, I was actually wrapping a LaFerrari, and I was supposed to come back the next day to finish it, but I couldn't.
Did you finish it or someone else?
Somebody else finished it instead.
But
I did half.
Oh,
it hurt me.
It
hurt me a lot because 80% of the car was done, and I was like,
And
"This
it was
is
no longer your job.
No, it was no longer my job.
Yeah, like you it's not your name on it at the end of the day. Yeah, that's
And that's the thing though. When you're wrapping those like exotics, there's this company that you get into, and they'll send you someplace and you don't know where the location is because you'll just end up wrapping those cars that are hidden. Like those are gems that you could like no one's allowed to touch.
Wow.
You know another one that it's not that it's the most, well, it's actually one of my favorite vehicles out there, especially value-wise. But one of my favorites that ever got wrapped because it was the biggest difference. It was one of the ones where once you wrapped it, I was like, that just took what was already an expensive $110,000, $100,000. I'll finish my sentence.
I have done so many cars, I keep forgetting.
You're trying to guess in your head.
I was like, which one is this one now?
But it was already a nice $95,000, $100,000 car, and then you got your hands on it, and it just took it to the next level. Was the Camaro when he first got into our shop?
The ZL1.
Yeah.
Oh, those are nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a satin black finish on a brand new ZL1.
And it was white.
Yeah.
The ZL1 was
So
white.
you went from white to black.
Yeah.
Which doesn't sound like you obviously have acknowledged you're learning a lot about vehicle wraps here, which is the whole point, not only about business, but about industry. White to black is the hardest thing you can do because all your door jambs, all your seams, like where your fender and your door meet, there's that little bit of gap.
It'll pop immediately.
Yeah, you're going to see all of the other colors through there. Like if you ever know you're going to wrap a vehicle, buy a black vehicle.
Yeah,
well, because if you're doing it the other way, like if there's a little bit showing, like it could just be a shadow.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right.
well, that's why black is awesome. Dark grays or like silvers are great. Like are great because they just turn into shadows. But white, red, lime green, yellow, I literally sometimes will turn it away because I just like it just doesn't work out well.
Oh yeah, like if you had a bright white car that had, I mean, look at G-Wagons. They're the older body style, like the pre-2019. There's so many gaps.
Huge gaps.
That if it was a white G-Wagon and you were trying to go black, you're never going to fully succeed at that. You would have to take every body panel off that car beyond bumpers and headlights and stuff like that.
Hours of work.
Yeah, engine bays and all of that kind of stuff. You definitely benefit starting from black. You can start from whatever. You can always make something work, but starting with a black car is like the perfect platform for a rapper to show off what they can do.
It's a good canvas, right?
Yeah.
And the third, actually, my third favorite car that I wrapped was the Pass Mag magazine one.
Which one was that?
The Lexus IS 350.
The red one.
The red one.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was like with wide body, and it went to Pass Mag magazine. It had like the big wing in the back. He had like 20-inch wheels with like almost 10-inch dish on the wheels. It's nuts. Like it was beautiful. So nice. Yeah.
There's been some. I see the Sierra around a lot. I don't remember the guy's name, but the one with the green accents.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That one I see a lot, and it just stands out. It wasn't a full color change or anything like that, but it
turns your head.
Yeah, it's a job that popped. It definitely made a big difference, and I think that's where the creativity comes from. Is it doesn't always have to be a full vehicle wrap. There can be graphics. I mean, your Optima was a 50-50
a split.
Yeah, split. And that was actually the first job I ever saw of yours. So I don't know if when I had my office on
you called me out
on
that
Charlotte.
Day. Yeah.
Yeah, you came down to the office and parked outside. This was shortly after you took the decals off the SUV. Like, this is shortly after we met. We were still planning what to do for the truck. And you pulled up and you told me you had exactly what I was looking for on your car. And I was like, okay, we'll see this. So you pulled up and you parked in a parking spot in my parking lot. And I walked out and I was like, who is this idiot? I told him I wanted white and he shows up with a black car.
Black car. Then he goes to the other side.
I walk around the car. The other half of the car is white.
I think I've seen that one in
town
too.
Split.
Yeah. And
like you remember that.
Yeah. You remember that. Everybody, like, that's one of the biggest ones. Like, people never knew that you can actually do that. Like, I did it first.
When you were doing it to show off. Like, I've said that about all your cars. I would never come to you and say, hey, wrap my car like your Kia Stinger. But the Kia Stinger showed off so many different things that you could do. It showed off embossing and overlaid graphics and chrome and half and all these different things that you could do, which you have to as a business owner
Always
show. Whereas nobody's ever gonna, I would hope nobody's ever gonna come in and say, just do exactly that on my car.
Oh, no.
Like, no, you don't need giant graphics and lettering and 3 different colors and all that kind of stuff on one vehicle. That's not the point. The point was for you to be able to point anywhere on that car and show off a certain option or a certain feature.
And that's what we got sponsored for by 3M, because I did the first where they just like those color, like those 2 vinyls were actually just released that week.
Oh, okay.
So when I told them, give me those 2 rolls, I'll find something to do with it. And then all of a sudden, just clicked in my head. It's like I was watching.
You're talking about the Optimum.
The Optimum.
Yeah.
It clicked in my head. And it was like Batman and Robin. I mean, not Batman and Robin. What's this called? The yin yang symbol.
Yep.
And then I was like, rather than doing the curve, do a split. I call it two-faced.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Right. And then even cops pulled me over. It's like, what color is this?
Well, yeah. What do you do on your ownership at that point?
Nothing.
Or is it black or is it white? Because it's 50-50.
I put multi.
It was what, a red stripe down the center?
Red stripe right in the
You
center.
should have called it red. I couldn't decide. There was equal amounts black and white, so I just red.
I just imagine you like rolling a stop sign and the cops trying to describe the car, like to dispatch.
It's a split.
So if you're on a highway in the slow lane, the
Color's
people will
white.
only see your driver's side.
Yeah, which is white.
So when you rob the bank 20 minutes prior, make sure that the other side of the car is the one showing on camera.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And no, like I mean, I've been pulled over by cops, and the thing is, they were just asking me what color is this?
Yep.
And then it just always makes me like give them my business cards. Like a lot of my customers too are cops. Like it's just they were like, oh, cool. And then they never asked me. It was like registration. Like what color is this? Right? And it's like they never do because they just like, oh yeah, that's fine.
Well, and when it's obvious, it's obvious. I've talked to enough people with their vehicles wrapped, and people have asked the question: if you take a car like your Mercedes is a silver vehicle, 100% green right now.
Yeah.
Your ownership should, in theory, say green.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
If it was green, red, blue, silver,
Oh, multi.
at that point, an officer, a insurance company should clue into that's not a paint job anymore. No. Like you have 4 different colors on the car. Something's going on there, and as long as one of them is representing what's said on your ownership, then I feel like it'd be difficult for them to harass you over it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's an entire industry that I didn't really know was as big as it was until I got involved talking to you and seeing what you do. And when you were gone out west, I actually played around trying to build a website because that's the one thing you've never gotten around to, and which is kind of a credit to you. You didn't need a website to be able to wrap hundreds of cars over the last few years. And what I was trying to do was build one where and that's why I laughed when I brought up the G-Wagon, because to be a prick, what I did is I ordered a 3D model of a vehicle.
G-Wagon.
So it would spin on the website, and then you could select the color from the top, and it would change the color of the G-Wagon on the screen. And you were all excited about the idea of that function. And then when you saw what I chose for a vehicle, you were like, no.
And I was at my sister's wedding too. I was like, no, please don't. Please.
Yeah. Like, just, this is what we love to do. G-Wagons and G-Wagons only.
Yeah. But imagine me become a G-Wagon shop though. Oh, that's a lot of money. Actually, you know what? If we can do it, we might as well do it. As long as the money's there. That's one thing about, like, I'm not gonna say anything about customer wise, but it's like everybody should know the value of like the work that we do.
Yeah.
Right. That's a lot of people will be like, oh, I can get it cheaper from my friends. Sure, go ahead. Like I will always say that. But the thing is, it's like sometimes you gotta put in, like we put in this much work of like you know, you're saying it yourself, building your own company. We set a price because we know what we're worth.
Yep.
Right? Like we're not worth $25 an hour. We're worth whatever we think we are, because when the outcome of that vehicle, when you expect it to be perfect, that's what it is.
See, I run into it with manufacturing. It's kind of the same as what you run into being, not taking anything away from the guys that work for you, but being a one-man show. When it comes to laying the vinyl and wrapping a car, you're involved in every single one and primarily doing the install on every one. We run into it on a manufacturing level where if I know we can push out X number of orders a week. Like right now, we're backlogged for about 9 weeks. Oof. So if someone calls me and they say, hey, how much for a skeleton bucket for XYZ, whatever machine, and I price it out and the bucket is $3,200 retail and my cost on it is going to be $2,600. It's worth selling. If all of a sudden they start to get down to like, oh, like I do $3,000 taxes in, or I do once there's not enough left in it,
There's no point.
there's no point in doing it, because I'm taking the build spot away from something that could have made us money or could have looked really good on the end of a machine or whatever the case. Like right now, for you to take a job that isn't going to pay worth your while wouldn't be worth taking that spot away from you being able to prep a car for Motorama or away from earning a different customer. And it's not a dig at the person who owns that, because there's many people that own 1993 bubbleback Honda Civics.
My dad just sold one.
That are more than willing to pay $3,500 for a color change.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of people that own 2021 Kia Optimas and are only willing to pay $2,000.
Yeah,
and
which
it's
doesn't make
learning
any
that
sense.
that customer can be walked, and it's not to insult them. It's just there's always another customer willing to pay a fair price, and the outcome of the job thus is going to be a lot nicer and show off your reputation and your product and your skill to a higher level.
Yep.
It's
And what I like to do too is like I just don't build customers. I build families and friends.
Yep.
So just like the way that me and Rob became like good friends, that's how it was, right? Like you just don't build a customer. It's like everybody thinks that they're just a number, so called. Like, yeah, this guy is $3,500 for that car. But I was like, no, like the Mustang that we did. Everybody thought like the Mustang, the pink one.
yeah, okay.
Everybody
The
thought
one that stole my color before I did it.
Yeah. No, the other one, the bright pink. Were you there? You weren't there. Everybody judged her, saying that she's never going to pay that amount of money to do a 1999 Mustang. That one?
Yeah. I've been on your
1999.
Instagram page like half this.
1999 Mustang. It was literally a piece of, I'm going to say it was a piece of crap.
We'll block whoever the owner is so they can't hear the podcast.
Well, we made it look brand new. And the fact that when she came into this shop and then she paid me up front of like whatever I asked her, I respected her. And guess what? I did the job as perfect as I can.
Yep.
And she cried when she picked it up.
Well, it looks like a brand new car.
Yeah. But did you see the before?
Oh, I did. Is it on the Instagram page?
It should be there too.
I've been on his Instagram
it's-
like half this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like the paint was all faded. It was scratched. It was like rusted. So we did some body work into it. And like when she got it back, she's like, "Oh my God, Brian! Like, oh my God!" Like she just started swearing in the shop like no other. And she was wearing her pink suit, like everything. And I should have got her reaction because it was perfect. Because a lot of my customers, they do get reaction like videos. I should have gotten hers because she was perfect for it.
I have, because you love your customers to be happy, as all business owners do, but you to the next level. And I'm going to ask you about a particular car. And it's not to pick on I love the car. The outcome of the car was amazing. Her idea was amazing.
Oh.
But I want to know, does the effort that something takes sometimes outweigh the end result? If somebody came to you again and said that they wanted to do a fish scale or mermaid scale vehicle, do you walk that job or do you take it?
To tell you the truth,
Yeah.
I'll take it again.
Yeah?
You know why? Because that's what, like when we talk about like what wakes you up in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Like, sure, I was like, bashing my head and it's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. I don't know if I don't know if it's going to happen.
And then the result is
The result
you
was
get to
just
put it
like,
out there.
I was like, oh crap, I just did it. You know what I mean?
You know what your life reminds me of? The way you work, the way you get excited about projects and the way you choose what to take on and how you release it to the world afterwards is, I wish I remembered his name. I want to say Stewie. I think I'm wrong.
Stewie from Family Guy?
No. look what I can do from Mad TV.
Oh, like the guy that was
Not Stewie. What was his name?
I'll Google it.
Oh,
That's
now
what-
we just
that's what
ruined the
producers
entire
do for.
podcast.
No.
Now we're gonna say, but look what I can do.
Look what I can do.
I feel like you do that in your head every single time you put
Stuart,
something new.
Stuart,
yeah.
Every time you put something new out there, it's like, look what I can do, and then it's a car that looks fish scaled. So what he did, if you haven't seen this car, is it's embossed. So he laid a layer of decals underneath on the vehicle in the shape of fish scales, the entire back half of the vehicle.
quarter panel from the bumper to the trunk.
These little
to the spoilers.
3-inch fish scales.
So it's literally a mermaid.
Yeah, and then when you wrap over top of it,
You can feel
it
it.
creates a 3D texture
That's pretty cool.
of the fish scales with a color flipping multicolor wrap.
Purple, blue.
What kind of car was it?
Chevy Cruise.
Is this my younger sister? Like, it sounds like something she would do.
No, but it's like if everybody's seen it, like she drives it during the spring, but every time people see her car, like they're just mind boggled because like how in the world he do this and line everything up.
Yep.
And that's like what like he saw me banging my head.
Here's the kicker: you had to do a replacement bumper, didn't you?
I had to do a replacement bumper because
So
she
he
got
had to
hit.
match up to it to put a new. When she got a new bumper put on, he had to then go back and trim everything in to perfectly line up with the initial install job.
Because if you're off half an inch, like
It's done.
It's really
It's done.
It's real visible.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's what people.
awesome, though.
That's what people don't see. Those like those like. That's why he told me you should start a YouTube. It was like show what you're doing in the shop.
Yep.
Because no one understands how it is like living a life of like a rap guy, right? It's like they think we're just. I was like, yeah, Brian drives a Ducati, so he's actually rich. Blah blah blah. I was like, no, I work my butt off to get that. Like 24 hours of work every day. Like that's what it is.
When I first got TikTok, I was somehow stuck in a vortex. I watched one rapping video, and then it was just my whole For You page was just people rapping cars, and like there's a huge market for it because people, it's satisfying to watch.
It is.
Like it's really.
He's
cool to
seen
watch.
me like what is it when I was squeegeeing those lines,
Yep.
and he like literally stood there and just like he was actually like frozen. He was frozen. I was like, hey, bro, you okay? Like he was frozen. But that's the thing. Like people don't understand. It's like putting those little scales or like even trying to get trying to get inside the doors, like trying to get to the door jams. They think we're just like, oh yeah, they're just gonna cut it off right at the edge. It's like no, like
You got to wrap around.
We got to
and
wrap
be in
around
behind
it.
And
Like it's nuts.
I'm excited to see, and I don't know what you're doing for Motorama. I don't want to know because I want to be surprised. And
It's coming out this, I think in 2 weeks. The car is going to be in.
Oh,
I know.
I'm gonna have to stop by and
No unlocking
take
doors.
a peek. I have a key.
I'm changing the locks.
Give you a hint. It's 16 years old. It's made by General Motors and it's currently burnt orange.
Yeah, it's actually only going to be window tint, because we're not getting rid of the burnt orange.
I have another question, maybe a silly one. Are you great at wrapping presents?
No.
What?
I am the worst.
Because I think of wrapping presents, and the worst part is going around the edges.
So I had to wrap the kids' presents this Christmas because I ended up buying the Christmas presents, right? And the wife wakes up in the morning and she saw everything was perfect at the top and the
She's
corners.
opening them all,
and
rewrapping them.
and then she flips it over. It's like, why is it lifted up? It's supposed to be a perfect square. And you see a bowl behind it because I was like, I don't know how to wrap a present.
You're just vinyl wrap all the presents.
What you did there is you bundled everything
Yeah,
underneath, and then your plan was you were going to heat gun and shrink it.
It doesn't
And then
work.
you were like, this doesn't work with paper.
Yeah, just vinyl wrap it like you do a car. Probably a little costly, but
It'll be costly, and also the points with the kids will hate me for doing that because they won't be able to rip the wrap off.
It's definitely interesting to see all the techniques. I'd still love to see a YouTube channel happen. Differences that I've even learned over the years watching you. You don't heat chrome wrap.
Really?
Yeah.
Does
you
it change color? Is
you
that
use
why?
a steamer instead of a heat gun.
Oh.
Because if you stretch it in any way, like if you use a heat gun in a traditional wrapping sense, then it distorts everything and you lose the reflectiveness.
Yeah, because it's concentrated heat compared to a full panel heat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't want to concentrate heat. You want a full panel, and then you can actually pull it. Because there's chrome materials are actually like chrome, like silver backing. And people think it's easy. It's like it's not. And then there's a lot of seams that happens. But the thing is, people don't see the seams. As long as you're as a customer, like I always treat myself as a customer. That's my car. If I can see it, they will always see it.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm going to cut it off there, and I'm going to jump to the outward question that we're going to try and ask every guest. And then we're going to train Matt on giving us some cues next time when we start approach, because I doubt anyone's even listening at this point.
No. I didn't realize how long it's been.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
I'm too into it.
Yeah. So we're going to go to a question. My question for you is, you're the rap god in Peterborough. Matt's the podcast god. We've got the rideshare thing covered. Susan, our first guest, has the Vietnamese food locked down. What is still missing in Peterborough? What is something that Peterborough, compared to other cities, other municipalities, other areas, is missing?
That is hard. That's a hard question.
It doesn't have to be something you want to do. It can be something that you like. For me, in the first episode, I want donairs.
What's that?
Wow.
Do you know what shawarma is? It's pretty close to shawarma.
It's like it's like donair is its own meat, and then it's got like its own special sauce, and they're huge out east and they're huge out west. You're gonna learn when you go to Calgary.
They're big in Ottawa too.
Yeah, but here in Peterborough, now Matt doesn't know this yet. Susan got a hold of me almost immediately after the podcast. She was at Lansdowne Place, and there is a donair place in Lansdowne Place. So they were really quick to open that store up after I suggested
the episode, and they just opened shop. It's a pop-up.
So what is the one business in Peterborough that you wish for personal reasons was here so you could benefit from it?
So I can benefit from it
As a customer.
as a customer.
Anything. Doesn't have to be car related or anything.
Well, I was thinking, I know we do have like a lot of like, because Peterborough is technically a square, right? Like you can't get lost.
No.
Right? I was thinking, because everybody's pretty active in Peterborough, like we should get like segways. Like we can rent segways.
Segway tours.
Segway tours.
that'd be
Because
awesome.
Peterborough is like there's so much places you can go to Peterborough that you can actually do stuff like that. And it's just nuts how we're not like diversifying like Peterborough more. People don't see Peterborough as like, oh yeah, you can go here. I brought my brothers and like my sister and his and her husband to Peterborough, and they were like, I love this place, but we can't get to it by just walking, and you got to drive every time. It would be cool. Like when I was
mean-
like, oh, Segway would be awesome.
Why Drive exists.
Yeah, but like I want to be the tour
They
guide.
gave you a hat and everything, Brian.
You're wearing that.
I want to be the tour guide. And like, yeah, this is, and then there'll be speakers on the Segway. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's pretty cool. You know what I mean?
No, that would be cool. That would be cool. I'm trying to think if I have. So this is something that Susan pointed out, that now I have to come up with a new one every episode, especially since
Well,
we actually,
now that we know there's a donair place.
Yeah, I said I was going to keep repeating donair every episode until somebody opens
Somebody
a
opens
donair
a
place,
donair
and
place.
now it's happened, and I don't have a backup plan. I'm gonna go very cheap on this one. It's an easy cop out one, but as a car guy, I will give credit to Mercedes, the Santos family. Varun, who is kind of running the show there for years. Mercedes has done very well in Peterborough, and I'm not taking anything away from that. We need a BMW dealership. Like, we are missing that.
Or an Audi.
Yeah.
Or an Audi.
Like, for the
I would buy an
population
Audi
that we
R8.
have. Yeah.
Like, let's have an Audi. BMW and Audi together.
We've got Peterborough Speedway. Give us a drag strip.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's the nearest one? Cayuga?
Quarter mile?
Apparently, Matt thought he was involved in this, but yeah,
Sorry.
no, I do agree, with the
ahead.
answer.
The G5's got to run.
No, it's actually a really good one because we're what, an hour and 20 minutes away from a drag strip.
No, like technically, if you think about it, we have airport, the airport there. We could just rent
but
out.
I mean,
we
like
could
one
rent
we
that
can
out.
actually use.
They,
I mean,
they
like,
don't
just
use the airport every time. We don't have anybody landing there.
This isn't Fast and Furious.
There's at least 10 minutes between flights. We can get a race.
we have 10 minutes. Let's go.
Yeah, it's a 15-second race. Like,
I'm just going to throw it out there on a personal level because I doubt anyone we don't know is still listening at an hour and 17 minutes. You have your Mercedes. You have your Ducati. I'm sure there's something else in the works, whether it's a year from now, 6 months from now, 10 years from now. I wasn't instructed to do this call out, but I'm going to do it on air anyway.
Call out.
Your twin turbo Stinger might have been a blemish in the record of someone we know's
That's-
5 Series. And he has since gone to Peterborough Chrysler and ordered a
Hellcat.
well, it's not a Hellcat, it's an interesting way to get there. So it's a wide body Charger with a Hellcat kit installed on it. He gets that in T-minus roughly 5 months at this point.
What am I gonna get next?
Are you just relying on the bike, or are you gonna?
Oh, it's gonna happen.
Because like his only goal right now is to beat Bryan Sablay. For there was a photo taken of his Kia beating
Spanking
this guy's
Spanked.
BMW.
That's awesome.
That is like his pride and joy.
Well, those Stingers are quick.
It was.
Very
Well,
very fast.
I got it tuned
Yeah,
Right.
that too. But yeah, like they're just quick by themselves too.
Overnight parts from Japan.
overnight. And we like literally did all the work right before that race. I was like, yeah, I'm not. There's no way I'm losing. I even beat a Corvette. What's this? Grand National.
To be fair, didn't an F-150 EcoBoost also beat the BMW?
The BMW beat the F-150.
Did he beat him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It would have been more interesting if it was the other way around, but
Yeah. The BMW beat him.
all right. Well, I appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you so
it
much.
Was, I learned a lot, which amazes me. I knew having you on would be fun, and we'd be able to talk a lot about the stories and the history, but I actually learned a lot that I didn't already know, so I definitely appreciate that. Sounds like Matt's learned a lot. He's going to get himself booked.
I'm like
in.
a kid in a candy store here.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
should come by to the shop whenever
will,
I'm wrapping
yeah.
something.
I'm actually going to go and get him. I'm going to make him up a little 10% off voucher, and we'll get his car in for a wrap. It won't be orange anymore.
Oh,
But thanks, Brian. It was
Thank
a
you so
pleasure to
much.
have you, and keep doing great things. And I can't wait to see what you do next.